in my work with kids, like I mentioned, I do what they call surrogate tapping. And because a lot of times a child can't necessarily tell you what they're thinking or what they're believing or any of that. Or they're afraid to even open up to somebody that they don't know as well. You probably run into that some, I would imagine, in your work that you do. So what I know to be able to do is, one, I teach the parents how to, what I call surrogate tap. And it's the ability to use your own energy to pass it along to the child. And to some people that comes across as kind of voodoo-ish or weird, you know. But what's really wild about it, and me included, probably if you would have asked me this 10 years ago, I would have said it was kind of voodoo and I didn't understand it. But I've seen it work, and that's what's the amazing part. You know, I've watched my daughter go off the roof with anxiety, and me be able to bring myself over to a place and tap for her and see it come down within minutes, and many times actually put her to sleep. So, and there are tools that we use for that. For instance, my little tapping teddy here, you know, it works as a tool to teach them. You notice I've got the buttons, and I'll go over the points in just a minute, but there's points in your body that you're tapping on, and the bear has those to be able to show. One, to teach them where the points are, or two, they can actually tap on the bear, and that's part of surrogate tapping as they're thinking about what's going on. Two, the other thing I found kind of amazing about something like this is that, guess what? They may not be able to tell you what they're feeling, but they can sure tell you what Teddy's feeling. And guess what? It's usually what they're feeling, but they're just transferring it on to them. So by doing that, we've got them to bring out the issue, and we can then tap along that. And a lot of times I don't have them talk. I just say, even though what I'm thinking about right now is causing me a lot of trouble, I'm still going to be okay. We start out with what we call the even though statement. We tap and we say, even though I have this issue, I still accept myself anyway. In a child sense, I use a little simpler words. Even though I'm thinking these bad thoughts, or I'm really, this picture in my head is really not a good picture, I know my parents love me, or I'm a good kid. We make it pretty simple. I also use tools like my little finger puppets here, if I can get them apart. Ones to keep together, so that as they tap, they can have a little fun with it too. So they can be tapping and have this helping them to tap, and it gets them kind of excited about tapping. So I use tools like that. I have a couple books that I use this one is a really cool little wizard. It's a story about a wizard, but he uses tapping to solve the problems of this village that he deals with. And I'll read this a lot of times to the kids, or they can take one home and read it for themselves. And this is kind of the same thing. This one actually has songs and all kinds of things that people can use for learning how to tap. I also use, I also work with them in breathing, and I work with them in some of the brain gym or the movement. You know, I'll have them do the crawl and things like that to get their energy going. So I use a lot of tools with kids to help them to be able to do it. And you know, this process, like I said, depending on the child, you know, I'll work with children that are like 10 and above myself directly. Under that, a lot of times I usually work with a parent first, and then possibly with the child or with the parent and child together. Because if I can teach a parent how to do this, like I said, like when we do it today, I'm going to show you how to do it. It's something you can take home and do yourself, and it still has a pretty good effect on you doing it yourself. And the parent can do it, like I said, they can do it for the child, with the child, and play around with it. I always have fun with the kids. I'll do raspberries with them and breathing, helping them breathe. Does anybody know what raspberries are? Oh, yeah. And like I said, you know, what I've worked with the most are a lot of the kids that are in a home where there's violence, or there's an alcoholic parent, or you know, the parents don't get along and there's abuse of some sort. And you know, giving them a tool that they can take a little bit of they can take back control of things. And because a lot of times they're blaming themselves for what's going on. And we can kind of help them to change that thought and know that it's not about them and that it's okay, and that they have a tool that'll calm them down when they. And so the kids that I've worked with, they fall back on this pretty readily. They're very accepting of it. They like the idea that they can have something that in a very uncontrollable world of theirs, they can have something that helps them kind of in their own control. So. And what I say, the surrogate tapping, a couple points about the surrogate tapping is, one, the way I do it is I basically, first of all, you have to be in a good place. You can't be in the anxiety with them. You know, when my daughter's going through the anxiety, if I'm going through it with her, which I have done, I can't do this properly because my energy's not in the right place. But if I'm in a, you know, I haven't joined her in any way, then I can easily do this. And all I do is even though I can't physically be my daughter, I wish to be with her. I say with her spirit is what I use, but I mean, it's whatever a parent's comfortable with. And I'll do that a couple times, then I go through going, wish to join in with my daughter's energy, wish to be with her spirit, want to be. And what I've gotten to know over time to be able to sense, literally I hear her voice say, I'm here, Daddy. And then once I know that I'm kind of in that place, I'm the energy, then I go into whatever the issue is. Even though as my daughter, I'm just off the ceiling with anxiety, whatever she's going through, I'm still an okay kid, or I do that. And then I'll go around until I start, and like I say, I notice it usually within about 5 minutes I can notice a change. And everybody I've given this to and taught how to do this, any parent, have always come back to me and said, I had one lady that was at Discovery Place and her child lost it and was going through an anxiety attack and panic attack. She left her husband with the child, and went outside, and she said, I didn't know what else to do. I said, I just started tapping for her. And she said within a few minutes, the daughter came out to her, and with the husband, quiet and back to her normal self, you know. And I was just shocked, you know, that how powerful it is, and you don't realize it, you know. You just think, oh, it's such a simple process, but it's powerful. So it's a pretty easy process, and they say once they get to learn it, and they can use it with their doll or with their whatever to work with.